Welcome friends to my first compilation of ancient Sumerian stories. Number 1. The Epic of Gilgamesh. The Epic of Gilgamesh is one of the oldest known literary works, originating from ancient Mesopotamia around 2100 BCE. It follows the story of Gilgamesh, the semi-divine king of Uruk, who is 2/3 god and 1/3 man. Despite his great strength and wisdom, Gilgamesh is a tyrannical ruler, causing his people to suffer. The gods, in response to the people's pleas, create Enkidu, a wild man who lives among the animals. Enkidu is civilized through the influence of a temple prostitute, Shamhat, and travels to Uruk to challenge Gilgamesh. The two engage in a fierce battle, but neither wins. Instead, they become close friends. Seeking adventure, Gilgamesh and Enkidu embark on a journey to the cedar forest, guarded by the monstrous Humbaba. Despite Humbaba's terrifying presence, the two heroes defeat him, with Enkidu dealing the fatal blow at Gilgamesh's command. They cut down the sacred cedar trees and return to Uruk with the wood, earning fame. Later, the goddess Ishtar proposes marriage to Gilgamesh, but he rejects her, citing her cruel treatment of previous lovers. In anger, Ishtar sends the bull of heaven to punish him. Gilgamesh and Enkidu kill the bull, further angering the gods. As punishment, the gods decree that Enkidu must die. His death leaves Gilgamesh devastated and fearing his own mortality. This fear drives him to seek out Utnapishtim, a man granted immortality by the gods. Gilgamesh embarks on a perilous journey to find Utnapishtim, enduring trials that test his strength and resolve. When he finally meets Utnapishtim, Gilgamesh learns of the Great Flood, similar to the biblical story of Noah, and the futility of seeking eternal life. Utnapishtim offers him a chance to gain immortality by staying awake for 6 days and 7 nights, but Gilgamesh fails the test. Utnapishtim's wife, out of pity, convinces her husband to tell Gilgamesh about a plant that restores youth. Gilgamesh retrieves the plant, but it is stolen by a serpent while he bathes. Empty-handed, he returns to Uruk, realizing that his legacy as a king and the city he built are his true immortality. The epic concludes with Gilgamesh accepting his human limitations and finding peace in his accomplishments. Number 2. The Descent of Inanna, Ishtar. The Descent of Inanna is a myth that tells of the goddess Inanna, known as Ishtar in Akkadian mythology, and her journey to the underworld, ruled by her sister Ereshkigal. Inanna, driven by ambition and curiosity, decides to descend to the underworld, known as the Great Below, to visit her sister Ereshkigal. Before her descent, Inanna instructs her trusted servant Ninshuba to seek help from the gods if she does not return. As Inanna approaches the gates of the underworld, she demands entrance. The gatekeeper, Neti, informs Ereshkigal of her sister's arrival. Suspicious of Inanna's intentions, Ereshkigal orders that Inanna be stripped of her divine powers. At each of the 7 gates, Inanna is forced to remove a piece of her clothing or jewelry, symbolic of her power. By the time she reaches the throne room, Inanna is naked and powerless. Ereshkigal, filled with rage, condemns her sister to death. Inanna is killed and her body is hung on a hook, left to rot. Meanwhile, Ninshuba seeks help from the gods Enlil, Nanna, and Enki. While Enlil and Nanna refuse to intervene, Enki, the god of wisdom, creates 2 beings from the dirt under his fingernails. These beings, the Gala demons, are sent to the underworld with the power to restore Inanna to life. The Gala demons find Ereshkigal in the throes of labor pains and sympathize with her, earning her favor. In gratitude, Ereshkigal allows them to take Inanna's lifeless body. The demons sprinkle the food and water of life on her, reviving her. However, the laws of the underworld dictate that someone must take Inanna's place. The Gala demons accompany Inanna as she ascends, seeking a substitute. They encounter several of Inanna's loyal followers, but she spares them. When they reach Dumuzi, Inanna's husband, who did not mourn her death, she chooses him as her replacement. Dumuzi flees but is eventually caught by the Gala demons. Inanna shows some compassion, allowing Dumuzi's sister Geshtinanna to share his fate, so he spends half the year in the underworld and the other half on Earth, symbolizing the cycle of seasons. The myth highlights themes of power, sacrifice, and the cyclical nature of life and death. Number 3. Lugalbanda and the Anzud bird. The story of Lugalbanda and the Anzud bird, also known as Anzu, is part of a larger cycle of Sumerian tales known as the Lugalbanda epic. Lugalbanda, later a king of Uruk and father of Gilgamesh, is portrayed as a hero and a figure of divine favor. Lugalbanda is part of an expedition led by King Emekar to conquer the distant land of Aratta. During the journey, Lugalbanda falls gravely ill and is left behind by his comrades in a cave. Near death, he prays to the gods, who grant him miraculous recovery. After regaining his strength, Lugalbanda finds himself alone in the wilderness. He encounters the nest of the mighty Anzud bird, a creature with the body of a lion and the wings and head of an eagle. The bird, associated with the storm god, is feared by all. Lugalbanda decides to win the favor of the Anzud bird. He carefully tends to the bird's egg, ensuring its safety. When Anzud returns and finds its nest unharmed, it is grateful and forms a bond with Lugalbanda. In return for his kindness, Anzud grants Lugalbanda extraordinary speed and strength. Lugalbanda uses these gifts to rejoin his comrades and help them in their campaign against Aratta. The story emphasizes Lugalbanda's resourcefulness, piety, and the importance of divine favor in achieving success. Number 4. The myth of Etana. Etana is a legendary king of the city of Kish, one of the earliest known cities in Sumer. His story, known as the myth of Etana, centers around his desperate quest for a child, as he has no heir to continue his lineage. Etana prays to the gods for a son, but his prayers go unanswered. One day, an eagle and a serpent, who had sworn an oath of friendship to each other, become enemies. The serpent tricks the eagle into eating the flesh of its own offspring, breaking their bond. The serpent seeks revenge, ambushing the eagle and throwing it into a pit, leaving it to die. The eagle prays to Shamash, the sun god, who hears its plea and instructs Etana to rescue the bird. In return, the eagle promises to help Etana find the plant of birth that can give him a son. Etana rescues the eagle, and together they fly to the heavens. They ascend higher and higher, passing through the gates of the gods. However, when they reach the realm where the plant of birth is kept, Etana becomes terrified and loses his nerve. He asks the eagle to take him back to Earth. In some versions of the myth, Etana eventually finds the plant and has a son named Bali, but the story's ending varies across different tablets. The myth explores themes of loyalty, the pursuit of desires, and the relationship between humans and the divine. Number 5. Ninurta and the Turtle. Ninurta, the god of war and hunting, is a prominent figure in Sumerian mythology. In the myth of Ninurta and the Turtle, he is depicted as a mighty warrior who defeats the demon Asag. After slaying Asag, Ninurta returns victorious, but his arrogance and pride draw the attention of Enki, the god of wisdom and fresh water. Enki, displeased with Ninurta's hubris, decides to teach him a lesson. Enki creates a giant turtle and sends it to confront Ninurta. The turtle, under Enki's command, digs a pit and traps Ninurta in it. The mighty warrior struggles to escape but is helpless against the turtle's power. Realizing that he has been outwitted, Ninurta calls out to Enki, acknowledging his mistake and asking for forgiveness. Enki, satisfied that Ninurta has learned humility, allows the turtle to release him. The myth emphasizes the importance of wisdom over brute strength and the need for humility, even among the powerful. Number 6. The creation of the pickaxe. The creation of the pickaxe is a Sumerian myth that describes how the god Enlil brought order to the world by creating the pickaxe, a tool symbolic of civilization and agriculture. In the beginning, the earth was wild and untamed, inhabited by chaotic and primeval forces. Enlil, seeing the disorder, decided to create a tool that would allow humans to tame the land and build cities. Enlil fashioned the pickaxe and gave it to the people. With this tool, they were able to clear the land, dig canals, and build houses. The pickaxe became a symbol of human ingenuity and the ability to transform the natural world into a habitable and productive environment. The myth reflects the Sumerian belief in the importance of agriculture and labor in the establishment of civilization. Number 7. Dumuzi's dream. Dumuzi, also known as Tammuz, is a shepherd god and the husband of Inanna. The myth of Dumuzi's dream is part of a larger cycle of stories about Inanna's descent to the underworld and Dumuzi's eventual fate. One night, Dumuzi has a terrifying dream in which he sees himself being pursued by demons. He wakes up and seeks advice from his sister Geshtinanna, who interprets the dream as a premonition of his death. Realizing that the dream is a warning, Dumuzi tries to hide from the demons, but they eventually find him. As the demons capture Dumuzi, he calls out to the gods for help. Inanna, who has just returned from the underworld, is unmoved by his pleas, as she blames Dumuzi for not mourning her death. The demons drag Dumuzi to the underworld, where he is to spend half of each year, while his sister Geshtinanna takes his place for the other half. This myth explains the cycle of seasons, with Dumuzi's time in the underworld representing the dry, barren summer months, and his return to Earth symbolizing the renewal of life in spring. The story highlights themes of fate, the inevitability of death, and the cyclical nature of life.